Well, I realize it's been quite some time since I made any video that pertains to baseball cards, and I figured I would just go grab one of my PSA binders off the shelf. I got a few of them. This one has some of my higher end cards in it. And nothing new here for those regular subscribers to my channel, but for those that are new and haven't taken the time to go through my old videos, I started with the baseball cards on YouTube 6 years ago now, almost. And I branched off into other things like comic books and magazines and Star Wars replica props and things like that. But it all comes back to the baseball cards. So here's some of the best of what I have. And by the way, I've gotten some questions on other videos of mine where people want to know, where do I get these pages? How do you get these pages for these PSA holders? And these were called PSA slab pages, and they were made by Ultra Pro. You're familiar with them probably. They do a lot of the baseball card supplies. Unfortunately, they're no longer manufactured, and I had to really scour the internet to dig up my own personal stash of these things. But I'm not sure why these aren't made anymore. I think they're a fantastic way to store PSA graded cards in a binder like this. But for those that are curious, they're Ultra Pro PSA slab pages, and you may find some on eBay once in a while. They pop up in auction. I think I got a whole bulk order of these at $2 a pop several months ago, and ironically, I haven't even used them yet. So I'm sitting on a whole bunch of them, but I'm not getting rid of them. So eventually they'll be filled up. Anyway, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, two of my favorite cards. Especially this, I love this Ruth card. I love the action shot. I think it's the least expensive Ruth in this Gowdy set from 1933. And then of course the Gehrig here. So I just love these cards. And then you can't go wrong with a Hank Aaron rookie card in any grade. In any grade whatsoever. I purchased this Aaron maybe 3 years ago now, 2 to 3 years ago, and this is a PSA 4, and I think I paid just over $500. I think it was like $500.10 or something. It's $500. But the price keeps going up, and this is a nicely centered example here, which is important to me. The card looks great. I mean, it's Hank Aaron's rookie card. Excuse me. So definitely a cornerstone for any vintage card collection. Again, regardless of grade, I wouldn't buy a PSA 1 because most PSA 1s, I don't know, unless it's a PSA 1 that looks like this, but it's a 1 because it has a pinhole, then, those are probably good cards to have. I'm not a big fan of 1s only because half the time they look just like they've been run over by a truck. But 1.5s and 2s, this is a 4. And I think, just to get it into the collection, I want to have an Hank Aaron rookie card. So here's a Joe DiMaggio. This was PSA 2 purchased, I think it was last year. I bought this card. Anyway, this was one of my cards, one of the cards on my hit list. And I didn't want to pay too much money. It was like $475 for a PSA 2, which at the time was fair market value. I think they're still around the same. I mean, these haven't really fluctuated all that much. And moving on, this page I got one of my T206 cards. I have a very small collection of T206 cards, and I have a video that kind of showcases all 4 of my cards and from a few months ago. Here's Henderson's rookie card, PSA 9. Definitely a good card to have. One of my all-time favorite players, too. Just good investment potential for this a PSA 9 1980s Topps card. Nicely centered. And I think I picked that one up for like $250, but that was after redeeming like $25 in eBay bucks. So I think the auction closed at around $275, maybe about 3 years ago. Currently, I believe this card is in the $400 range. And nowhere to go but up, I think, for Henderson. Down here we got Dave Winfield, PSA 8. Cal Ripken Jr., PSA 9. This card's been pretty stable in this grade. If you wanna have serious investment grade or investment potential, you got to go with the 10s because those things can rise exponentially in price, and it's out of my budget. Basically, I could buy all these cards, or I could buy one PSA 10 of this card. You know what I'm saying? So I prefer to have a variety of cards in my collection. I'm not really in it for the investment aspect of it, although it is nice when the cards do have some value. I mean, essentially, it's not like I'm going to lose money if I ever had to unload these things. Here's a 84 update Kirby Puckett. Classic card, a card I always wanted as a kid. It was definitely out of my reach, some 30-odd years ago. Here's a Kirby Puckett Tiffany. I like these cards here. A Roger Maris rookie card in mid-grade, I guess. PSA 6.5. Purchased on eBay from, it was either Dave and Adam's Card World or Baseball Card Exchange auction. It was a buy it now. I think it was $350. And so I jumped on it. Nice centering. And it's Roger Maris's rookie card. Here's a 61. Kind of an iconic card because 61 was the year he broke Babe Ruth's record for single-season home runs. And this one's also nicely centered. If you want to see a real nice Maris, check out what's that dude? Foo 3112. That dude has some serious investment grade baseball cards, PSA graded, and he's going to do very well with his purchases in the long run. Here's a Joe DiMaggio, just an autograph card I picked up, a certified auto, PSA DNA. This card is some random card set from the early 80s, I think, and there's a crease in it, but it's a Joe D autograph. I might have told the story in a previous video, but in 1987, I went to a baseball card show in Schenectady, New York, and Joe DiMaggio was signing, and it was $7 to get his autograph. And being, I was like 14 years old, I had maybe $30 on me, whatever I had, and I didn't want to spend the $7 plus the other $8 for the official ball to get the signature. I was more interested in buying 87 Topps rack packs with a guaranteed Don Mattingly card in them from a seller there, and other bullshit like maybe the Burger King set. Anyway, in hindsight, I probably should have got his autograph for $15. Would have been a pretty good return on investment there, Joe DiMaggio. Here's Ozzie Smith's rookie card, PSA 8, very tough to find in a 9. And I'm not sure. I think there's a PSA 10 or 2 out there floating around, some high-end collections, but real tough to find in high grade. Ken Griffey Jr. This card was hot at one time, really hot. I think this PSA 9 at once retailed for around $275, maybe like a dozen years ago. That might have been its peak. Now in a PSA 9, I think you could probably pick it up for like, what, $50 or so on eBay? $50 maybe. Here's Roger Clemens. Another unobtainable card from my childhood that I picked up in adulthood, and I almost made the mistake of buying this card just before his trial with all the needles and the blood and the Brian McNamee steroid thing. And at the time, or prior to that, this was a $400 card. And then during the trial, it sank to about $120, I think, at one point. I picked this up for under $200, I think maybe $1.50. Maybe I don't remember, but I definitely glad I didn't pull the trigger on it when it had peaked prior to his steroid trial. And then continuing on here, one more page. I got this Thurman Munson rookie PSA 8. This is part of a Key Cards in the 1970s video that I have, of which I'm still looking for a couple more cards to fill out that decade. I'm looking for a PSA 8 Brett rookie. I'm looking for a PSA 8 Schmidt rookie. And then I'll decide if I want to add a couple more in there, because there certainly are a lot more than one key card per year, in particular the 75 set and even the 1971 top set, which is really tough to find in high grade, PSA grade cards. Very expensive. Here's Christy Mathewson tobacco card, T206. Here's a Jackie Robinson card that I bought just so I can get a Jackie Robinson in my collection, 1956 Topps, PSA 7. And this is the first tobacco card that I purchased. Really bizarre, and maybe I tell the story in my other video on this, but this guy, Bob Beck sports card in Livingston, New Jersey, and he's a real good guy. I've done a couple of deals with him. I want to say I was in there looking at baseball cards, and he had shown me a lot of T206s he had found or had purchased from a local person. They had found them or whatever, and they were raw. And months later, for whatever reason, I had a dream about this particular Ty Cobb card. So I think it was the next day I woke up and I called Bob. I said, I emailed him. I said, "Do you still have that Cobb? Did you ever send it into PSA?" And he said, "Yeah. Sent it to PSA. Came back at PSA 2. So right up my alley with regards to grade. And he wanted $640 for this. I think it was $640, which I paid in cash because if I pay with credit card, he loses like 3% on that. And we did it off eBay, obviously. So $640 I thought was a very good price for this card because just kind of perusing some completed auctions. PSA 2 Cobb is, upwards of, I think, what, $800, $900 maybe? I think, frankly speaking, it's barely a 2. I'm not sure if that's paper loss or a stain, a little white spot. And then on the back, there's definitely paper loss. Let me get to see that from having been in an album. But it's okay with me. So there you have it. First new comprehensive baseball card video in quite some time. Nothing new here. On my want list, a T206 Walter Johnson, the big train. I'm kind of wavering between the portrait version with like that yellow background or maybe that hands at chest version. I've come close a couple of times, but unfortunately, you won't see that anytime soon, just because of a lot of other financial obligations currently I have going on. So I've got to be smart about how I spend my money. You might see a couple comic books here and there because those are pretty inexpensive. But as far as high-end cards, again, it's going to be a little bit before I start showing up on YouTube with a 57 mantle or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, that's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned later tonight. A brand new episode of Friday Night Comics, and I'll catch up with you later.